Almost all power-ups and transformations are usually always defaulted to Mario. That partly makes sense, he is the main character after all, but after seeing Fire Flower and Fire Mario being used so interchangeably, it can be easy to forget that pretty much every Mario character has transformations of their own. Only recently has it been established that characters like Yoshi or Nabbit cannot, but Luigi, Peach, Toad, Daisy, Rosalina and more can all access these items like it's their name on the box. But one character has proven a strange outlier: Wario. In Mario 64 DS, we do see him using transformations most associated with Mario, and in the ending of Super Mario Land 2, he even becomes the first character in the entire series to use power-ups that isn't Mario or Luigi. And yet, it hasn't really been seen since. There is no Elephant Wario, no Fire Wario. Although, I guess there sort of is, but Fire Wario is literally on fire and doesn't seem to enjoy it. As soon as Wario received his own series, being Wario Land of course, he took one thing with him from the Mario influences that shaped his series. Whereas Donkey Kong Country and Yoshi's Island don't really have power-ups, at least not in the way Mario does, Wario did basically take this concept one for one, especially at first. Later down the line, changes would be made to properly separate the way Mario treats transformations versus how Wario does, but those weren't yet in place for the first Wario Land. And so we get a repeat of the familiar formula. Wario finds a Viking helmet, collects it, and boom, transforms into a new form called Bull Wario, which upgrades his dash attack. One thing that immediately stands out here is that, unlike Mario, Wario's outfit actually never changes, something that is kept consistent in the vast majority of cases. No special coloration, no different look, just still his familiar overalls and occasionally a different hat. Now, I say this is unlike Mario, and in the grand scheme of things it is, but it's actually not when looking at the Mario Land sub-series, which Wario Land is obviously based on. Here, transformations like Bunny Mario and Super Ball Mario don't actually change his look at all, beyond minor headwear changes. This can also be seen with the two other transformations Wario Land introduces, the first being Jet Wario. While the name suggests something pretty substantial, like a jetpack or airplane-like wings, the truth is that Wario simply wears a cap resembling a bird with a rocket in it. As you would expect, this transformation allows Wario to fly through the air, which is something Mario is also well acquainted with of course, but if we're being honest, Jet Wario is significantly clunkier and more robust than anything Mario has ever used to fly. The third power-up in this game is Dragon Wario, which is essentially Wario's actual answer to the Fire Flower. Wearing a dragon hat, he can spout fire from its nostrils, which is similar to a fire flower, but it doesn't shoot fireballs, instead one continuous flame. This one I'm definitely more positive about. It's a good idea, a fun twist on a familiar concept, done in a way that fits Wario, and while it is less suited to agile and fast gameplay, it does make you feel a lot stronger than the fire flower does, both of which suit Wario. But even then, I think it's fair to say that the power-ups of the first Wario Land are honestly rather uninteresting, even if I think you do need to cut Nintendo a little slack here. We now know Wario as this zany figure who is a perfect wacky foil to the milquetoast Mario, but at the time he was basically just a random one-off villain that Nintendo tried to sell you an entire game about. Keeping Wario close to Mario was a smart decision in that regard, even if it does mean that these transformations have been largely forgotten since. Bull Wario and his Viking helmet got a neat reference in Wario's shipyard, so both Mario Kart 7 and World, but that's pretty much it. At least if you don't count Virtual Boy Wario Land, where these transformations basically return verbatim. I mean, technically not, because Jet Wario was now Eagle Wario, which controlled a lot better, and Dragon Wario became Sea Dragon Wario, which is now immune to water, but for like 99% these power-ups are exactly the same as they were in the prior game. What is new though is that Wario can now combine his power-ups by collecting both an eagle statue and a dragon crystal to form King Dragon Wario. Even though the concept seems to suggest this transformation is a mix between Eagle and Sea Dragon Wario, it actually incorporates Bull Wario as well, so that's a cool novel idea. Mario has never had anything like this, and now that I think about it, that could be considered a bit of a shame. It would be cool if you could combine an ice and fire flower to form something brand new. Reminds me of Kirby a bit. But anyway, well, it took as such to the final cusps of VB Wario Land before Wario really started to do something unique transformation-wise. The idea was then scrapped, never seen again, and replaced with a completely different philosophy for Wario Land 2. From now on, Wario will not collect power-ups to transform. Instead, he will never die and is affected by enemies in a way that causes him to transform, called either conditions or reactions. It's a brilliant idea, it's super unique, completely different from what Mario does in a way that suits Wario's wackiness without stepping away too much. Many of these reactions do feel like something Mario might also use, just not in this way. It also means that appearance-wise, Wario has a different style now. Unlike Mario, his outfit still never changes, why would an enemy cause that after all, but we do see a lot of actual transformations for Wario that go way beyond what Mario used to do. At least until the wonder effects of the most recent Mario Bros. Game. Case in point, Flat Wario. While that weakling Mario just dies after being squished by a thwomp, Wario refuses to give up and continues even in this pancake-like form. It also immediately illustrates nicely how these reactions work. Most of them are not universally good, like most Mario power-ups are. Instead, they have their benefits and their negatives, like how Flat Wario walks much slower and can barely jump, but can glide through the air and slip through tight passageways. Also different from Mario is that all these conditions have specific scenarios that cause Wario to return to normal. It's nothing general like getting damage. For example, Frozen Wario, which is Wario encased in ice, can glide over spikes and automatically ends whenever he crashes into a wall. Flame Wario, from the intro, is basically the same. Wario is set on fire, starts running in panic automatically, so you can't do anything. Over time, the flame will engulf him fully, turning him into a walking fireball, and now you can decide which way to walk and destroy unique blocks or other elements in the environment. And this power-up too just ends by either touching water or waiting for the fire to die out. It's a completely different philosophy. Another key difference between Wario and Mario's transformation is that due to how Wario obtains them, they tend to be a lot less positive. Being set on fire isn't good, being frozen solid isn't either, but the game gets even crazier with it. Take Zombie Wario, an undead version of a character who can't die. This form too doesn't allow Wario to move very fast or jump high, but because his body is basically disintegrating, he can now drop through thin platforms, which he couldn't before. The design of this condition is wild though. In Wario Land 2's official art he has a bone sticking out of his knee, and in the fourth game he properly looks like a zombie, purple skin and all. Mario would never. But trust me, we can go even wilder. Wario Land 2 introduces Crazy Wario, which is essentially Wario while dizzy after getting hit by a ball thrown by a penguin. He becomes much more difficult to control and can now belch up vomit to defeat enemies. He must be very dizzy, huh? Well, the truth is that the idea of this reaction being based on dizziness is a clever case of Western censorship. In the original Japanese version, this penguin wasn't throwing balls, he was throwing glasses of beer, meaning Wario isn't dizzy, he's drunk. In fact, the Japanese name of this transformation isn't Crazy Wario, it's literally Drunk Wario. It does explain some of the details in his official art a lot better, like the fact his overalls are half off. Wario is that kinda drunk, huh? Gotta say though, Drunk Wario is a better name, at least. Crazy Wario sounds redundant, like a tautology. Then again, no transformation sounds more redundant than Fat Wario. By eating food-like projectiles thrown by enemies, Wario can become even more rotund than usual, which actually includes apples, leading to this odd artwork of Fat Wario holding an apple, when that is probably one of the rare times he eats healthy. Anyway, this reaction too lowers his movement and jump height, but again, has the ability to break certain blocks. Cool detail though is that it actually wears off by walking, so exercising. Other conditions have stronger connections to what Mario was doing or would be doing. Puffy Wario comes to be when he is stung by bees, which he is apparently allergic to, causing his face to swell like crazy. For gameplay purposes though, this gives him powers similar in practice to the pea balloon seen in Super Mario World, although of course Wario Land's level design means it feels less like pure freedom and more like a short burst, if that makes sense. Bouncy Wario is remarkably similar, down to design even, to what Mario Galaxy would later introduce for Mario in Spring Mario. The only difference is that Wario needs to be hit by a hammer to activate it, and his powers are time restricted, as in they stop after a certain amount of time, something Mario only does with a superstar. Bubble Wario is reminiscent of other things we see Mario do in Mario Galaxy, which is traveling inside of a bubble to reach higher places. Wario can exclusively do this underwater, and in this bubble swiftly returns to the surface, where he is then freed again. Now, what does stand out tremendously about these transformations compared to Mario is that while the latter never had this many in one game, I mean, these were all from Wario Land 2 only, Mario also constantly switches it up with every new iteration. Wario, not so much. Pretty much all of these transformations would return in Wario Land 3 and 4, and those new titles would barely add any new ones to the mix. Roughly 5 of them. 5 more were added post Wario Land 2 across 2 games, that's it. You've got Ball of String Wario, which functions pretty similar to other auto-moving transformations like we discussed before, Invisible Wario, which is pretty much the Vanish Cap from Mario 64, Snowman Wario, which is a fun idea, but gameplay-wise is very similar to what we already had, and Vampire Wario. This one is admittedly super cool, both design-wise, concept-wise and gameplay-wise, but it also kinda boosts the already unimpressive numbers of new transformations in a dubious way. As well, in Wario Land 3, Vampire Wario consisted of a vampire form and a bat form. Wario Land 4 ditches the past Vampire Wario, but keeps the bat to create the new, but not really new, Bat Wario. And that is all there is though. Wario Land 3 and 4's conditions lean heavily on the big number Wario Land 2 introduced, and that is a bit of a shame, as this idea is still super unique, but it as such is never really expanded upon beyond what Wario Land 2 already did. And by the time Wario Land Shake It released, the concept was pretty much ditched. Snowman, Flame and Frozen Wario return, but only those 3 do, the rest are gone, and the entire idea of Wario gaining all these different abilities due to being hit by enemies is basically just forgotten. It's not a part of this game at all. And so, to find anything resembling more Wario transformations like this, we have to take a look at Wario Master of Disguise for Nintendo DS. This is not really a Wario Land game, but it also kinda is. It's certainly in the same ballpark at the very least. Kinda like how Wario Land 1 is pretty different from the later number titles, basically. Here, Wario can access power-ups that are much more similar to what Mario is usually doing, as he can put on various disguises that give him different abilities. These powers aren't triggered by any collectible item though. Instead, you have to use the touchscreen to cause Wario to change forms when you want. His default disguise is Thief Wario, as seen on the cover too. This one basically just improves upon Wario's standard moveset, kinda like Bull Wario did all those years back. The rest is a bit of a mixed bag, honestly. Design-wise, they're absolutely top-notch. Wario makes up for lost time, all those years where his outfit never changed are forgotten, as basically every transformation gives him an entirely new look, and they're all just great. Mario Kart World eats your heart out. But when judging them as the power-ups they are, it's hard for them to escape scrutiny. Many of the disguises are just classic platformer power-ups like we have seen so many times. Cosmic Wario can shoot lasers, Sparky Wario can light up dark areas, Dragon Wario can breathe fire, etc. The best example of this gap in quality is Wicked Wario. His design is crazy cool, a red devil or demon-like outfit that makes it appear as if Wario is gonna do some wild stuff. So what does it do? It allows him to fly. That's it. What once required a cap with a simple bird on it, he now needs a full demon suit to do. And so, it's fair to say Wario has a very weird history with transformations. When he tries to go the full-on Mario way, he does do some interesting things design-wise, but a lack of creativity in the gameplay department makes it hard to escape the shadow of his heroic counterpart. And then on the other hand, you have this super unique mechanic of Wario Land 2, 3 and 4, which is held back by pretty unexciting designs and especially a lack of variety in this department going into the latter 2 titles. It still feels to me like there is a lot of untapped potential here. Room for Wario to combine the mechanic of enemy damage causing new power-ups with a bit of inspiration from the Mario franchise to make these conditions feel a tad more like actual abilities rather than just damage sequences, if that makes sense. Not all of them fall into that trap, but many do. And that is a little unfortunate when you combine it with the fact that we have seen like 5 new ones since 1998. So yeah, you've got the blueprint right here, Nintendo. Get to work. What are your favorite transformations from the Wario series? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. If you really want to support me, you can now become a channel member to get all kinds of fun perks and help me keep bringing these videos to your doorstep every week. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.